Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. It is just after 11 a.m. here on Friday, the 25th of April. It's Anzac Day here in Australia. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge those who have come before us and sacrificed their lives so that we can experience the life that we do now. My father is a war veteran. My father-in-law, a large number of people in my family who have been impacted by war. My grandfather, and so I just want to start this off by acknowledging those, lest we forget, on Anzac Day morning here in Australia on this Friday, April the 25th. So a good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Please feel free to say hi and let me know where you're listening from. I wasn't here last Friday because it was Easter Friday, so we've had a couple of weeks, a week's break since 2 weeks since I've been live with you. So I'm very much looking forward to sharing some time with you today. And I wanted to start today. So if you've just joined us, it's Anzac Day here in Australia, so I've just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge those who have come before us and those who have sacrificed so we get to live the life that we live. So lest we forget, there's a lot of memorial services around Australia today. This is a public holiday here, but I didn't want to leave it another week before I was live with you guys. So, oh, hey, Lee, hi, darling. Thank you for saying hi. I really, really appreciate it. And anybody else out there who wants to say hi today. And if you've got a question, pop it in the comments below and I will do my absolute best. My shirt is do my absolute best to answer it for you. Oh, you're loving my book. Thank you, Lee. Lee bought a signed copy of my book, Funny Little Human. And it took a little while to get there. So I'm glad that you finally have it, Lee, and I'm glad that you're loving it. That's fantastic. Thank you, darling. Hey, Karen. Hello. Thank you. Yes, lest we forget to those beautiful men and women who sacrifice their lives for us. Oh, thank you, Minnie. Thank you, darling. Miss you guys too. I really do. Oh, thank you, Karen. I haven't worn this one for a while. It's an oldie but a goodie, but thank you. So I'm probably going to get a little bit emotional here, so just bear with me. But I wanted to. There's a lot of you who've been asking me after my friend Anthony. He passed away last night. So and Anthony, for those of you who are not sure, Anthony created the heart for my front cover of my book. This is the heart. He's an incredible artist, and a very, very, very someone I love dearly. The funny thing about Anthony Breslin, his name is Anthony Breslin, and he created this beautiful frog here. Here's the heart. That was taken from here and used on the cover of my book, and his artwork is incredible. But what his artwork is so well known for, and I've got another piece here. I've got a lot of his pieces. Look at this bug, isn't it just awesome? Just love the caricatures. I mean, that's just Anthony to a T. He just brought so much love and joy, kindness to people. So I want to dedicate this Friday Live to Anthony. You know, Anthony came to me as a client, would you believe, a few years ago, and he invited me to write a foreword for a book that he's releasing shortly. And in the foreword for the book that will be released, and he knew he wouldn't be around for the release of it. He spent the last few years of his life pouring everything into this book, and I was very honoured to be asked to write the foreword for him. But in that foreword, I said, you know, he came to me as a client, but really he taught me far more than I ever had to teach him. And one of the reasons I wanted to dedicate this live to him today is because, and for those of you who aren't sure who it is, I did a podcast interview with him it's a couple of years ago now, I guess, and it's called The Work Ethic of Love. So if you haven't heard it, I really recommend you listen to it, that particular episode. You can find my relatable podcast on Spotify, and you can find it on my website, fionalukeis.com.au/podcast. And look up the episode, The Work Ethic of Love with Anthony Breslin. It's a great episode. And, you know, I wanted to talk about him because in the final stages of him passing, he's been in palliative care for the last few weeks, and he stopped having visitors. But there was a very good mutual friend of ours who was taking care of him. And thank you so much for your messages, everyone. I really appreciate it. And she was sending me messages, and I'd send him messages. Some of the messages I sent from some of my relatable students who were sharing the impact he'd had and that episode had on him, and Anthony had been a relatable student, and they were sharing. I shared some of those things with our friend to share with him. Just wanted to keep reminding him of how loved he was, and I guess the reason I wanted to talk about him today, because to me, Anthony was the epitome of what it is to be loving. He was the absolute epitome of it in terms of his kindness, his compassion, his grace, his humility. He would come at, he's a very well-known Australian artist. If you Google him, you will see there's YouTube's videos of him and some of the most amazing murals he's created that have involved kids and families and whole communities. And like, he just had an amazing way to make anyone who was in his presence feel seen. And I think there's a lot that we can learn from that. And even in his final stages, my friend who was with him and taking care of him said to me, even as he is dying, he is kind, compassionate, considerate, loving. There's not a single person who comes into his room who does a single thing for him that he doesn't acknowledge and thank, even though he's in an enormous amount of pain and suffering. Pain and suffering that man endured is beyond belief. And again, he endured it with compassion and grace. Sorry, guys. Anyway, sorry. I just wanted to talk about it because I think in today's busy world, we are so conditioned to think for ourselves and put ourselves first. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. And you kind of need to on some levels in many ways, because it's, this is the way we are conditioned. It's conditioned to, first in best dress with so many things, and often, as we've seen it with corporate greed, governments, or on many levels, there are people who have more at the expense of others, and there's a world that we are in. We're constantly bombarded with advertisements: buy this, have this, need this. You have to, there's a lot going on for a human being, and we can forget. We can forget about the things that give us meaning, and we can forget about the things that move us, touch us. And, when we forget about those things, people stop being loving. People stop being kind. People stop thinking about anything outside of themselves. They find it hard to put themselves in somebody else's shoes. The work ethic of love disappears. And so I think that, people like Anthony, and there's many people like Anthony in the world. I just happen to be lucky enough to have him in my orbit and spend time with him. I think they need to be remembered and acknowledged because they create a ripple that surpasses all of that noise, right? And I think as human beings, we need that more than anything in the world. We do. We need that more than anything, because that's what fills us up from the inside out. It's not the stuff that fills us up. It's the stuff gives us momentary feelings of satisfaction, momentary feelings of accomplishment, but it is not what sustains us long term. It's not what fulfills us over an extended period of time. And, a human being who is fulfilled is naturally kinder, is naturally loving, patient, compassionate, understanding, graceful, generous, curious, playful. That is just true. And I get to see that each and every day. I'm fortunate enough to get to see that each and every day, that a fulfilled human being just naturally shows up that way. That's their natural way of being. They don't have to try. They don't have to force it. It's just what comes through them. And there are many things that come through us in the world, whether we're aware of them or not. And, Anthony was always such a great reminder of that for me whenever I look at an amazing piece of artwork. And, these are just such small little things of his. I mean, he's done huge, big, massive paintings, some of which I've been lucky enough he's given to me. He was giving some of his stuff away to some of the closest people in his life, close to when he knew he was soon to leave this world, I guess. And he's got an extraordinary body of work. He considering he has been living with and dealing with acute leukemia, which is what he has eventually passed away from, for over 12 years. The body of work that he has produced in that time is extraordinary, and the amount of the way in which it has touched people is also extraordinary. But he would produce this incredible artwork, and he would always say, "This has come through me. It's not mine, Fiona. This has just come through me." And I think there's a lot to be learned from that for all of us. Love is something that comes through us when we allow it. Compassion is something that comes through us when we allow it. Playfulness, curiosity, they are things that come through us when we allow it. Now, there are many ways in which we innocently block love, block the way we receive love, generate love. Hence why I created a whole module around that in my Relatable program. But, when we see the truth of who we really are, our true nature, when we see that and we start living from that place, that becomes so commonplace that it just comes through you. And it comes, and what we do have the capacity for, and Anthony was such a great example of this, is that things come through us like love, compassion, kindness, and understanding without all the trying and the efforting and the remembering and the application of it, which is why people find relationships in general so hard, because it looks like that is something that we have to effort around. We have to apply. We have to bring to the table. We have to try. We have to force. Okay. And that's not the way it's meant to be at all. And this is why relationships can be, and I know this is triggering for some people, this is why relationships can be easy and effortless. They can be, right? They don't have to be hard. They don't have to require a lot of effort. Because when a human being is in their natural state, we don't take things so personally. We don't feel the need to inflict our opinion on others. We don't feel the need to convince someone of our point of view. We don't feel the need to control the narrative, right? And, it's those things that create turmoil and disruption and disconnection in our relationships, because it becomes a fight of who is more right than the other. And then people compete to get their story out and override one another. No, you didn't do this because you did this. And we have this back and forth that obviously blocks love, blocks connection, and has us more in that combative frame of mind. And one thing I do see is there are a lot of people in the world, innocently, I say this and I mean this with love, innocently, more often in a combative frame of mind than not. And I guess Anthony had this capacity, and this is true of anyone. When you're in a loving frame of mind, your energetic frequency is different. The energetic imprint that you leave is different. The frequency of your heart is different, and it impacts others just by your presence without a word needing to be said. Many people said this of Sydney Banks. I didn't get the pleasure of meeting him, but they said that of him too, that just by being in his presence, and I'm not saying this because Sydney Banks was better than somehow any of us. No one is better than anybody, but his frequency was so different that it touched people. It cut through the mental noise that so many of us live in. And the mental noise is, I've got to get this thing done. I've got to pick that thing up. I've got to, you know what I mean? It's the mental noise of doing, rather than so much of the mental noise of being. So many of us have lost the art of being because we're focused on the doing. Now, I'm not saying that you don't need doing. I love doing, okay? Love getting things done, and I love the feeling of creating something and finishing it. But the beingness of a human is where it's at. It's our being that determines everything. Hence why that is the last module in my relatable program. It's all about your beingness and what you want to generate for yourself, because that determines everything. And Anthony just happened to be one of those people where his beingness was just infused with love and compassion and patience and kindness. And so it touched people. I would see, I was lucky enough to go on a trip with Broome with Anthony last September. I'm so glad that we did that. I remember walking through the airport. Our plane had just landed, and I was really excited to see Broome and the Red Earth. And Broome is a gorgeous place in Western Australia, right on the other side of Australia to me. The most incredible beaches. It's an extraordinary place. And I remember walking through the airport, and I had a tendency to probably walk a bit faster than Anthony. Anthony's walking with a cane. I had to remind myself, Fiona, slow down. Anthony can't keep up with you. Because I'm like, I want to see what's outside. I'm so focused on me, right? I want to see what's outside. I want to look at what's out there. I can't wait to get out of the airport. I'm excited. But it was all about me, right? And I turn around, and Anthony's still like miles away. He's talking to this little girl who's in this beautiful dress. And I did see this little girl, this gorgeous family get off. No, they were waiting for someone to arrive. Anthony, and I saw her in a beautiful dress. And I went, oh, what a gorgeous girl in a beautiful dress, right? Just thought that. But I was still all about me and wanting to get outside and see Broome and experience Broome. And Anthony stopped, and he's talking to her. And all his focus and attention is on her. And he said, what a beautiful dress. Where did you get that? Oh, I love the color purple. Is that your favorite color? And I watched this little girl's face just light up like a Christmas tree. And I watched the family move around Anthony and talk to him, and he just engaged the whole family. And with just, I could see it with this cloud of, I don't know, it's just infused in his being. Kindness, love. And I looked at him and I thought, there's the difference. I have much to learn. I'm all about me. Anthony is just all about what's in this moment of now. And so because he was so present, he saw stuff that I would miss. And he would bring love to moments that I wouldn't see. And he would acknowledge people that I wouldn't notice. And he would make people he had this gift of just making people feel seen. And so I wanted to talk about that, because every human being has the capacity to bring this to the world, and we need more of it in the world. That's just a fact of life. We need more of that in the world. What the world needs is people who are present, who know and understand their natural state, and prioritize that more than anything. It doesn't mean you can't achieve things. It doesn't mean you can't do things. It doesn't mean any of that. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other. But so many of us believe this, right? So many of us believe this, that you have to sacrifice one for the other, that if I'm focusing on my beingness, I can't do stuff. I'm like, that's not true at all. It's just a whole different way of ease with which you show up in the world. And you get access to creativity and fresh thinking and possibilities that you just don't see when your mind's racing and you're thinking about all the things you need to do. It's a whole different way of being, and it is a whole different way of receiving. And to me, that is what my entire body of work is focused on. That's what the point of relatable is. That's what the point of everything that I try and learn and embody is to bring more of that to the world and help people to see that in themselves. And I just happen to be so lucky to have come across someone like Anthony who just embodied that so well that I was learning from him. And I hope that I'm lucky enough to come across many more people like that in my lifetime that I can learn from, who show me the way, because it's people like that that create these enormous ripples, right? And as many of my relatable students and clients know, the ripples are what it's all about for me, is that, and the ripples are what you see for you and then you bring to somebody else, and then what that person brings to somebody else, and so on and so forth, because we are all connected. Right? Whether you know it or not, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, we are so deeply connected that when someone's energetic being shift, when someone's frequency shifts, it can't help but impact somebody else. It's just the way it works. And then that can't help but impact somebody else. And, that's why you can just be around someone who's in that state of mind and feel yourself shift. Feel your frequency shift. And I think that's the beautiful potential and possibility of human beings. And so today is a dedication to those of you who feel called to that, feel called to looking and understanding more about the beingness that you are in, about being more in your natural state, about being a generator of that so that it ripples out into the world, and understanding that our natural state is love. Our natural state is kindness, compassion, understanding. That's our natural state. And when you give someone an opportunity to see that, right, to really see that and have a deep knowingness of it, something magnificent happens inside that person. Something truly magnificent happens. And then that light shines so brightly that it impacts so many others. And Anthony Breslin is and was an incredible example of that. I remember him saying to me when he first got diagnosed, and I didn't know him then, he said, Fiona, I've learned so much from having leukemia. He said, I've learned so much. He said, the first thing I learned when I was diagnosed and I started to see my muscles waste away, because Anthony was incredibly proud and fit. He would work out. He would do a lot of yoga. He'd studied a lot of yoga. He'd done a lot of dance and he's written plays. I mean, the body of work Anthony Breslin has done is extraordinary. But he said, I took a lot of pride in my body being fit and strong and muscly and all of those things. And he said, the first thing that I learned was how much my identity had been built around my body and my body looking good. And he said, that's the first thing that I had to let go of, was that was no longer open to me anymore. That avenue of identity was gone. I had to let that go. And he said, I grieved for that for a long time. And he said, but I learned so much from that, because I realized that's an illusion. That's not who I am. That's not my identity, but that's how I identified myself in many ways. And he said, so I've learned so much from having this disease in my life, from living from this space. And I just thought that was so beautiful, because someone shares something like that, and of course you can't help but think, okay, well, how do I identify myself? How do I meet life through the identity that I have? How do I meet the world? What does that look like? And does that get in the way of the message that I want to bring, of what I want to receive, of, like, do you know what I mean? This is what I mean by the legacy that someone can leave just by sharing a conversation, just by coming from that place. And so I wanted to share that with you all today, because that's the legacy that Anthony has left with me. And I just feel so privileged to have met him. I feel so honored to have been given the opportunity to spend time with him. So thank you all for letting me share that. And I hope that that's helpful to some of you. For some of you, you need to remember that about yourself, that you are not this experience, you are not your past, you are not the things that have happened to you. And the most important moment in life is this moment of now, this moment of now, this moment of now. Please remember that. And every moment of now is our opportunity to create something new, something different, something that is untainted by the past and is free of the worry of the future. This is the potential that every human being lives in. Every human being, without fail, lives in or can live in the potential of that, right? Okay, so thank you everyone for your kind messages. I really, really appreciate it. I've been knowing this was coming for a long time, so I'm glad that he is no longer suffering, because that he has suffered for a very, very long time. Thank you everyone. Yeah, there are also a lot of beautiful birds in my garden, which is because it's been pouring with rain here and very, very, very wet. So I'm amazed that there are still a lot of birds, but yeah, there are a lot of birds. Yeah. Thank you everyone. Oh, that's lovely, Min. I've loved hearing the ways Anthony was. And while I felt I did do these things, I know I now take the time to notice others. Strangers will stop and say something from the heart. Thank you, Anthony. It's nice to see the person feel appreciated or noticed and share love in a moment of now. Yeah, it is. It's beautiful, isn't it? Those are the things that fill us up from the inside out. They really do. Sarah, funny question for good mood. What makes you laugh and where are you ticklish? Great question. What makes me laugh? Lots of things make me laugh. I love things that make me laugh are people who get really hung up on stuff and angry and frustrated. Because I can see how innocent it is. Those things I find hilarious. And again, I'm not laughing at them. I'm laughing with them. Things that make me laugh. Oh gosh, that's a good question. There's lots of things that make me laugh. I don't know. It's just depends on what shows up and where my state of mind is. Where am I ticklish? Probably all over. Oh, Angela. Hi, Fiona. Thanks, Lucy. Thank you, honey. Hi, Fiona. My heart goes out to you. My son recently lost his best mate in an accident, age 17. Do you have any tips on how to deal with loss and grief? I'm so sorry, Angela. I really am. Do you have any tips on how to deal with loss and grief? Just be kind to yourself. Don't have any expectations of when you think you should be over something. Grief has its own time frame and its own journey, and it's very, very unique to each person. There are some great books out there on the stages of grief, and grief really is unique to each person. You know, some people will judge themselves and think, oh, it's been 2 years, I should be over it. Every time you hear a should around something, please don't listen to that. That is your ego talking, and it is not based on anything founded in truth. I never believe anything that comes from a should. And it's just my ego demanding something from me that has nothing to do with anything. Kindness, love, compassion, understanding of yourself, and taking all expectations off yourself, really. Human beings place an awful lot of expectations on themselves and each other as to how long it should take us to get over something. And the reason we do that is we look at somebody else and we compare and we go, well, they were over it in 6 months, or they were over it in a year, or they felt better after this time. What's the matter with me because I'm still X? And then they add this burden, right? You know, many people will say to you that grief forever changes. It's just something you learn to live with. It's not necessarily something that disappears with time. I think I will always think of Anthony and feel sadness and miss him, but also feel those mixed feelings of gratitude that I got to spend time with him. So it's an interesting thing. I think, to me, with anything that we're dealing with in life, whether it be grief and loss, whether it be a sense of unfairness, whether it be anything in life, it's our ability to be okay with that experience in whatever shape it takes. That is the most important thing. And when I say okay, I mean that if I'm having a day where I feel sad and I'm, for example, I'm really missing Anthony and wishing he was with me. Oh my goodness, sorry. It's still a bit raw, everyone. And I feel like having a big cry. I'm not going to make myself wrong for that. I'm going to allow myself to have that experience. And I think so many of us have a lot of suffering because We don't allow ourselves to have the experience that we need to have in that moment of now. We make ourselves wrong. We try to control it or change it and get on with it, so to speak. And I think that's probably one of the most damaging things you can do. Just allow yourself to have the experience that you need to have. And you'll find that things will move through you with a lot more ease, because things do move through us. They really do. It's extraordinary how that works when you see it. But so many of us resist our experience and try and control it, and that just makes for a bigger experience. I find that really interesting. But that's because so many of us get frightened by our experience, and so many of us get frightened by how we feel, get frightened by our emotions, and then want to control them. And again, this is another massive issue in relationships. People get frightened by their emotional experience. They're not comfortable enough in their own skin to meet their emotional experience where it is. And so, of course, that's when our frailties and dysfunctional patterns come out, and where we can't meet someone else or life where it needs to be met. And so it's harder for us to bring humility and grace and understanding, and instead we rely on those defensive walls of judgment and anger or stonewalling or shutdown or manipulation or sadness and all of those things, right? And that is just all fear. And that's because we are frightened of the experience we're having. We're fearful of it. And so we go into self-protection mode. No judgment here. You just have to understand so many people are doing this in the world. And that's why so many relationships break down and why so many people experience the level of suffering that they do. And, it's why one of the reasons why I've created Relatable and all of those things, because when people learn the understanding that I teach, they are a lot more comfortable with their emotional experience, way more comfortable. They don't feel the need to bring those defensive things into something. And so there's a whole different level of meeting someone or life or themselves in a more authentic, grounded, present, loving, kind way. Now, when someone does that, the impact on their well-being, your own well-being, and everyone else around them is extraordinary, because that is how powerful a human being is. That is how powerful each and every one of you are. And so why I'm so passionate and committed to this work and this conversation, because the more people that see that, the more they bring that to themselves, and then they bring the gift of that to others. And that has ripple effects. It really, really does. Some of you know this year for me is all about the year of the heart. Okay, it is all about the year of the heart. And every year I pick a word for myself that I want to bring more of into my life. And this year is the year of the heart for me. And so I'm studying the heart, and I'm studying releasing energetic blocks that we carry in our heart. And I'm going to be bringing more of that to you guys and to my work. Not because I think that people are broken, or because I feel that anybody needs fixing, because nobody is broken, nobody needs fixing. But I know the power of energy, and it's just a matter of shifting it and seeing then what happens for a human being. Because one of the things that I can see so clearly is that when the magnetic frequency of a human being's heart changes, it has a massive, massive, massive ripple effect. And I sit there and I think, wow, because it's so powerful and we are so powerful, it only takes a small percentage to affect the whole. And to me, I find that incredibly fascinating. So I'm definitely going to be bringing more of that. I will be bringing that obviously to my Relatable students as well. And I'll be bringing that more of that into my work, so that we do get the opportunity to experience more of that. I want everyone to have an opportunity. For me, I'm so grateful that I have had a chance to get to know myself outside of the limitations of my own thinking. I really am, because when I look back prior to having this in my life, I saw myself as a selfish, highly stressed person who just couldn't ever get it together. I had a lot of judgment of myself. I had a lot of limitations around myself that I saw as factual and true. And I see now how much they blocked my ability to generate and receive love. They blocked my ability to create the messaging that I wanted in the world and to be of service in the world the way I wanted to be. I mean, the impact of it was so huge, I couldn't even see it. And it's only now that I've had a sense of myself outside of the limitations of that thinking that I think, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful. I'm grateful because it means I have a deeper connection with my children. I have a deeper relationship with myself. I mean, obviously my husband and I have a far, far deeper connection than I could ever have imagined. I mean, it just goes on and on. I get to have these conversations and there are people that even want to listen to what I have to say. Like, you know, and to me, that's what's on offer for all of us. To me, I wish everyone had the gift of getting to know themselves outside of the limitations of their own thinking, because, you know, thought gets in the way of everything. And so many of us just don't even see it. We just see it as the way things are, or the way we are, or the way the world is. And it's just so not true. And then, you know, you get lucky enough to meet someone like Anthony Breslin, who just takes that to a whole other level, just by their sheer presence. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your beautiful comments. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. If there's any other way I can be of service to anybody today, please let me know. If you have a question, please, if there's anything that I've said that's been helpful, I'm just going to share some of these gorgeous little treasures I have of Anthony Breslin. He was famous for his frogs and bugs. And, you know, this heart to me pulsates. It's alive. It has so much energy and beauty. And I'm so grateful to have been able to put that on the cover of my book and have that in my life. I love you too, Graham. I really do. I do. I love you. I do. I miss you too, Graham. I love you all very much. You know, Graham, I just want to acknowledge Graham. Graham is the epitome of so many things. Graham, just a gorgeous, gorgeous soul. And Graham lives in Hervey Bay, northern Queensland, a long, long way from me. Came down to Melbourne a few weeks ago and we met in person and we had the most enormous hug. Graham's been in my Relatable program and has embodied the teachings of this work in ways that just I'm in awe of. I'm in awe of you, Graham, and has brought that to his children and his community and family and just to himself. It's just beautiful. The ripple effects of it are huge. And it was such a pleasure to meet you, Graham. It really was. And Graham I keep forgetting to bring them into my office. Graham came down with another beautiful soul called Maz, and they created these amazing T-shirts with pictures of funny little human on them. And when I walked into the cafe, Graham and Maz were in these T-shirts, and they stood up, and I went. It was just the most beautiful moment. And I have that. They gave me a T-shirt as well, and with this picture on it, just beautiful. And these are the kinds of people that I get to spend time with. And yeah, so thank you for that, Graham. Beautiful. There's so many people on this call that are just, you know, Julie, Lee, Jody, Rick, beautiful Rick, Angela, Lucy, Penny, Karen, Minnie, Faye. You know, I just want to say to all of you, thank you for and anybody else who shows up to these calls and is here, thank you for having the desire to want to look beyond, to having the courage to look inside yourself, for having the faith in me to do my program and to listen to what I have to say. You know, I just want to be of service in any way that I can to to humanity. And Anthony will keep being an inspiration to me for that, as are all of you. So thank you, everybody. Hello, beautiful Julie. Thank you, honey. Thank you all so much for listening. Sending you all so much love. I will be here next Friday answering your questions. Until then, Anthony Breslin, I love you. Thank you, everyone. Ciao.